Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be taking a first look here at this Week 13 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to go position by position, highlighting the plays that are sticking out to me here early in the week, and then we'll wrap up this video by putting together a first look cash lineup and a first look tournament lineup. But before we dive into the quarterbacks, everyone, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave truly does help me out here on YouTube. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks, everyone, and we obviously have the Thanksgiving slate this week, which is taking up 3 games, but we still have 10 games here on the main slate. But with that being said, there really wasn't a lot sticking out to me here at the quarterback position as I was going through and doing my first look notes. I got 4 listed on my notes here right now. We'll start at the top because I do like Josh Allen in this spot here against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously coming off of a short week playing Houston, I'm going to kind of overlook this game where he had 10 points. And for what it's worth, that Houston defense is one of the best in the NFL. Prior to that, we saw the ceiling game out of Josh Allen, 47.7 points. Now, obviously, we're not going to bank on a 50-point performance out of him, but he's floated in the mid-20 range most of this season. And again, I like the safe floor and ceiling that he offers in a matchup like this against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you're going to have to spend up for him, $7,500, one of the more expensive quarterbacks that we would have to pay up for really all of this season. Outside of that, I don't love the spend-up options here. Stafford's been great, probably the MVP at this point in the NFL season. I don't love when West Coast teams have to travel to the East Coast, play in an early game. It is a decent spot against Carolina, but I'd rather find that extra $500, get up to Josh Allen. I don't mind Justin Herbert here on the tournament side of things in this spot against Las Vegas. Coming off of his worst game of the season, just 4.3 DraftKings points there. This looks like a really nice bounce back spot for him. And then I'm kind of scrolling down here into the 5K range, and he got priced up a little bit, but still very affordable at $5,800. I think we might be going back to Jacoby Brissett once again. Another 20-plus DraftKings point performance out of him. Going back to Week 6, he's got 20-plus now in every single one of his starts. And that Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary has not been great this year. So I like going back to Jacoby there. And then one other guy that stuck out to me here in the 4K range is Cam Ward at $4,600. I don't mind the spot here at home against Jacksonville. And he's strung together some decent games coming off of the bye here, 14 and 24 DraftKings points. I don't mind that considering the price, probably more of a tournament consideration, but being that I don't have a lot of quarterbacks on my sheet here to begin with, maybe we'll talk about him in cash too. Next, we got the running backs here, and we got the 2 premier running backs on this slate with Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. You could probably sneak Bijan Robinson in that conversation as well. Hasn't been there quite in terms of fantasy scoring, but in terms of just pure talent, yeah, Bijan's absolutely in that conversation. But the reality is, everyone, I'm kind of looking at Devon Achane here as my preferred play at the top early in the week. Again, I record these on Monday. A lot can change throughout the week, but I like this price tag at $8,300 at home against New Orleans. We obviously know the upside that he brings in the passing game. He's basically a wide receiver too, who runs the ball 15 plus times a game as well. So he kind of stuck out to me as my preferred spend up option at the running back position. Scrolling down a little bit off of that, I really kind of like this 6K range here. Kyren Williams looks nice on the tournament side of things. I like Travis Etienne here. The volume's been great coming off of the bye. Another game where he had 15 rushing attempts, 4 targets, 19 total opportunities. I think he's going to be cash game and tournament viable. Same thing here with Ashton Genty. I like the volume that he's been getting, especially in the passing game. Coming off of the bye, 5-plus targets in every single game. Could be a nice run back option if we want to stack up that game between them and the Chargers. Maybe do a little Herbert stack, run it back there with Genty. And then I don't mind Jaylen Warren here in this matchup against Buffalo, a running defense that's really struggled to stop the run all year long. So I think those guys sit really nice in this 6K range. Scrolling down a little bit off of that, I think 2 tournament considerations we could look at. First here is Kenneth Gainwell. And I know I just talked about Jaylen Warren. This is why this is more of a tournament consideration, but they've been getting him involved not only in the running game, 9 and 10 rushing attempts in the last 2 weeks, but more so in the passing game. It seems evident they want to get the ball in his hands because he can make explosive plays. plays. He's got 29.5 and 18 DraftKings points now in each of his last 2 games. Like I said, more of a tournament consideration, but considering how bad that Buffalo run defense has been, I don't mind that at $5,300. And then if Alvin Kamara misses here this week, you can see he's questionable. We could potentially be looking at Neal here. I'm not entirely sure what the running back situation is going to be if AK misses, but this looks to be the only healthy running back for them on the roster right now, so that's something we'll be keeping an eye on. We then got the wide receivers, and 13 weeks into the NFL season, you all know how this works. I like to price the top wide receivers into different tiers, and tier 1 for me is, you can see it based off of the price, it's 2 guys, Puka Nacua and JSN. Now, if I had to pick between these 2 guys just based off of how they've been playing, I would go with JSN here, especially with Sam Darnold having a little revenge narrative playing against the Vikings at home here this week. But you can see 30, basically 20 plus DraftKings points now in every single game going back to week 5, 30 plus in basically 4 of those games. He has truly been dominant. That's not to say that I dislike Puka Nacua, because I absolutely think he could be in the discussion as well. But if I just had to pick one of those guys right now, I would go with JSN. Tier 2 for me is going to be Devontae Adams down to Nico Collins, and really Nico is my preferred play here up against Indianapolis, especially if we're going to see CJ Stroud back this week. Coming off of a game where he didn't play great, just 3 targets, but prior to that, they were force-feeding him the ball, double-digit targets in 4 straight games coming off of the bye, and I certainly don't mind that price tag there at $6,700. And then tier 3 for me here is going to be Egbuka down to Michael Pittman Jr. And a few guys that I like here. First is going to be McConkey. I actually don't mind Chris Olave there. Let's just briefly touch on him. You can see he's got 13 targets coming off of the bye. Really do like that. Had 24.4 DraftKings points in the game before that. Showing some nice ceiling scores, if you will. But I do like Ladd McConkey here. Talked about Justin Herbert earlier. This is a great bounce back spot for them. Coming off of a big loss, a game they should not have been beat up that bad against Jacksonville. But again, this is a good bounce back spot for them, especially coming off of the bye. I don't mind Tet there, but I really do like going back to Michael Wilson here. He has just been a target monster with Marvin Harrison Jr. out. And Marvin Harrison Jr. could be back this week, but hypothetically speaking, if he's not, how do we ignore the targets here? 15 and 18 now in each of his last 2 games. And then we got Michael Pittman Jr. there. I don't mind that, but that Houston defense, again, has been truly great this year, so I'll probably look to avoid that. This mid-5K range, 3 guys that stuck out to me, Myers, Metcalf, and Shakir, I think they're all solid considering their price and their matchup. And then a few individual plays that I wanted to highlight. Really interested in watching this game tonight with the 49ers. What's the wide receiver situation going to look like with Ricky Pearsall back? I know he was back last week, but it was his first game back off of that knee injury. Really didn't show a whole lot. I'm excited to see what he offers here tonight, because if he doesn't offer much, I quite like Jennings here at $4,700, but kind of a wait-and-see play there. We got these other 2 wide receivers here for LAC, Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. Certainly don't mind them. And then 2 guys here in the lower 4K range. First being Dyke of the Tennessee Titans. This rookie's been surprisingly good. Him and Cam Ward have really built some nice chemistry. Now, I would like to see the volume and targets go up, but you can see here based off the fantasy scoring, when the ball's in his hand, he's made the most of those targets. And then the last guy that I wanted to highlight here is Jaden Higgins at $3,900. He's now sees 7+ targets in 3 straight games. If that's a trend that continues, I think he's going to be cash game viable at that price. And now we're on to the tight ends, everyone, and it finally happened. Trey McBride might be out of our price range this week. There's honestly probably a case to be made to continue rostering this guy. He has been a target monster with Jacoby Brissett. But when I look at the pricing here and go, is he $2,000 more expensive than Brock Bowers? Maybe based off of the volume you can make that argument, but based off of pure talent, those 2 are certainly a lot closer when it comes to that. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into this one a little bit more as the week goes on, but he's very expensive there at $7,800. But then you get into this 5K range with Tyler Warren, George Kittle, and Bowers. I do think they're going to be in play, especially when it comes to tournaments. And then there's a major price drop off here, and I do like Gadsden to the LA Chargers here. Again, great bounce back spot for them. I like his upside considering the price at $4,300. Juwan Johnson's really strung together some nice games here. Double-digit DraftKings points going back to week 7. Not bad for a guy priced here at $4,200. If CJ Stroud is back here this week, I think we'll be talking about Dalton Schultz again. Strange doesn't look bad there at $3,700. Didn't mind the way that Fannin Jr. played here with Shadur Sanders starting. But these are a few guys that just kind of catch my attention. If I'm really looking to spend down here this week, being that Darren Waller is still on the IR, we could potentially look to punt here with Greg Dulcich at $2,500. He has had 4 or 5 targets in each of his last 3 games here. Not bad for a guy priced at the bare minimum there, but I would like to get to that 5K range if at all possible. Otherwise, guys like Johnson, Otten, Schultz, Strange, Fannin Jr., I think they're solid options considering their price. And then we got the defenses here, and there are some nice spend-up options this week. We got the Chargers back at home here, taking on a really struggling Geno Smith with the Las Vegas Raiders. Seattle at home, taking on J.J. McCarthy. This Rams defense has been very good. I don't mind that spot there against Carolina. And then the Jags taking on a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. I don't mind this spot here for Miami at home, coming off of a bye, taking on New Orleans. Or the Texans at $2,900. I know Indianapolis has been a good offense, but I talked about it earlier. That Houston defense is truly legit. I do not mind that there at $2,900. If I'm really looking to spend down here this week, the Titans at home taking on Trevor Lawrence, that would be my punt option there at $2,200. Alright everyone, now we're going to put together a first look cash lineup here, but before we dive into the quarterbacks, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, again, I would greatly appreciate that. It's completely free for you to do, and every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave me here truly does help me out on YouTube. Let's kick it off here with the cash game quarterback, and I'd love to be able to spend up to Josh Allen here, but the reality is Jacoby Brissett looks way too good at $5,800 against Tampa, so I'm going to lock him in here for an early look on Monday. Running back position, let's go to Travis Etienne. And then you know what? Let's spend up here for Devon Achane as well. I want to get to JSN if at all possible. I know we're shaving some money quickly now. Let's go to Wilson here with a little stack, Jacoby Brissett stack. And now we're at $3,500 per player, so I'm going to have to really save some money. Let's go to the tight end spot. Let's just put in Dulcich here. 4+ targets for $2,500. I don't mind that at all. Let's go to a defense and save some money as well. I'm going to try to get to the Texans, if at all possible. And then we're going to go to Jaden Higgins here. I can save some money at the wide receiver position with him. That gives us $4,700 for a flex. Really interested in seeing this 49ers game here tonight. What is Ricky Parcells' role? Is he fully back and healthy? If not, is Jennings still kind of the wide receiver 1? If so, I wouldn't mind that there at $4,700. And then my favorite part of this video, putting together a first look tournament lineup. I talked about that game between LAC and Las Vegas quite a bit, so let's do a little Justin Herbert stack here. Let's put him in at $6,500. We're going to do a double stack with him. We'll go Ladd McConkey, and let's save a little money here at the tight end position with Gadsden. And then we're going to run it back with Ashton Genty. I don't mind that spot for him at $6,400. Love his involvement in the passing game, especially coming off of the bye. Let's do a little mini game stack here between Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Let's go with Warren, and then we're going to go with Khalil Shakir here. Good spot for him against Pittsburgh. $4,900 left with 3 spots. So let's go to a defense. Let's just punt here with the Titans this week. $6,250. Ooh, can we get to Nico Collins? I know we can. That was a stupid question. $5,800 here. What do we do? Woody Marks? No, don't love that. Maybe Pittman. Really don't love that either. We could do a double stack here and just kind of say, hey, maybe LAC gets out to a massive lead. Las Vegas is playing catch-up. You could go that route, because I don't love going Jacoby there, being that we played the Titans, although I could pivot off of the defense. Metcalf, maybe a double stack there, but I already got Warren, so let's go with Bowers. There's a handful of different options there, but this is really kind of a full game stack between LAC and Las Vegas. We got a little mini game stack there between Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and then a couple of one-off pieces. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that.